Good evening, folks. Just getting sorted out there. A little bit late tonight. Had a busy day, and here is the sound of a Saturday night for you. Yes, that is a refreshing soft drink. So, we had a few issues, but we've sorted a few issues. We've got a few issues more that we can look at tonight. We're rebuilding our recipe list after the other day's enum debacle, which will go down in history as a footnote, basically, in my mind and probably nowhere else. So we shall carry on with that, and we shall take a look at what we've got. So, as mentioned in the description, we are doing a little change to our rocket feed. So once we get loaded up, we shall take a look at that, and I'll let you know what the actual plan is of what I want to do with it. Okay, so the plan is that we can come down and see our rocket. There's a rocket, resupply rocket, and we can take a look, and there we have our rocket. Taking off, all rather lovely. And that's what we kind of wanted. We want it to like scramble the signal, and then basically to disappear. Now when it comes back in, we want the signal to scramble as it comes in, and we want it to basically clear, and then it loads and then it disappears. Right, but that's obviously not happening. So what we need to do is we need to have a look at the code from the widget, or rather the rocket. Okay, so we're probably going to have a look at the rocket viewer. We may have to do something. So this was the white noise that I added and made it the blue colour to match the rest of it. Made that this morning, and we should have rockets here somewhere under vehicles, and there's our rocket. So if we now look at this, right, we can check what line it's going down. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a breakpoint here, and we're going to put a breakpoint here so that we can actually see what is going on when we actually are, the rocket is launching or not, basically. So in the first instance, what we expect to see is basically that, but you'll notice that it doesn't go on for long enough. So that's on launching. Okay. Now, strangely enough, it's broken here, so is launching should be true. Okay. and what will happen is it's going to come in here to clear widget, then it's going to play again. So remember, this is the launching, okay? So we can resume this. Right, and I think we can determine from there that our animation isn't going on long enough to give us the impression that it's actually doing something. So in here, we don't actually want to play this. We actually just want to just hide this, in actual fact. Right, so let's do that for now, right? And we shall move this out of the way. So let's have a look at this. And we shall check our launch again. And we shall take it from there. Now we can see there that that's going well, but it doesn't clear, right? So basically what we've done, or what we need to do, is break that and break that, move our delay in, and hang on a second. What we actually want to do is, okay, so we do want to do this, okay? We do want to do this. Or, no we don't. Actually we don't. Right, what we actually need to do is we need to get our widget, and we need to say, I think it's, right, now the thing here is I didn't rename the widgets, so we really need to do that. So what we'll do is we'll call this image noise, and we shall call this image render rocket. Okay, so now that we've got them named and they basically both are variables, okay, we should be able to say image get image noise, and we're basically going to clear it color. So we're going to set color and opacity, and we're basically going to set our opacity or opacity, depending how you want to do that. And we're going to set this up before we launch. Okay. So now when we're launching, this is going to be clear to start off with, the white noise, and that should work better for us. So let's have a look at that. Now, I might actually need to do it the other, no, possibly not. Or possibly on the landing we need to do it the opposite way around, but let's just have a look and see where we are. There's our rocket. It's going to take off, and we should see our white noise. And there we go. Well, actually, that's actually going to kill us being able to see it. So I'm going to take these breakpoints off and resume. You see how that's too quick, basically. Right, so I'm going to have to make the effect take longer. So that you can actually see it begin to go, you can begin to see the sparkly stuff. Right, so that's what we want to start with on the landing, okay? So we're going to need to take a look at this, but we are going to need to take a look at our designer and our animations. Okay, so basically this one, so at the moment it's half a second, so I'm thinking that we're probably going to have to put it up to 2 seconds. Right, and if we click on this, and that value is 1, right? So we're basically going to set it at 2 seconds, and right, so we've set it out, set end time, then we're going to basically set that, and then here we're going to delete this. Now that should actually be on the expand, so we'll put it on the expand as well, and then we'll start looking at how this is going to work for us. So what we can do is, we're not doing anything with the scale now, right? So basically this is not really doing anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. Okay, and then we're going to do something with the image noise. Okay, so that was the contract. We're now doing it with the expand. So this basically goes from 1 to 0. Okay, so this is going to be color on opacity. We're going to open it up, and then this is going to go, let's check this again. It's going to go from it's going to go from 1 to 0. Okay. we shall drag this out to 2. Then this is going to be 0. And there we go. That's going to be our... We're going to see how this goes. Okay, that's the tall and the short of it, really. Okay, so have a look at our rocket and see how that is. And we should we've got clear, and then it'll take off. Good. Then we should get our yep, and then yep. That's exactly what we want. To a T. And now, when we are landing, that should clear. Yep, that's not landing, is it? Okay. So we can stop that for now, right? And basically, what we're going to do is we're going to check our rocket, and we're going to go to here. So that's basically when it switches over. Now, when it shows, we want it to show, which is correct. Right? And then when we come in here, we basically have to play. No. Right, so we're not showing the widget. So we create the widget, and we basically need to play the animation. Okay? So we basically have to play this. Okay. We might need to play this in reverse, but we'll try it. And we can basically do that. Okay. Okay. You're going to be like that, are you? Okay, so we just plug in our return value from the widget. And yeah, we need the target again, which is, that's the target, and that's going in there, right? Okay. Okay, we've kinda, let's have a look at this again. So yeah, the target's the widget, of course it is. Not thinking straight here, but we'll get there. Don't worry. So we'll take it from there. So let's have a look at this. So we'll let the launch one run a couple of times. We'll see what it's doing on the return. And we'll take it from there. Hopefully this will work first time and it'll all be good and life will be great and stuff. So we're going to take off, so we've got a clear signal. As it takes off, doing good. Okay, and there we go. So launch looks good. And now it's just for the landing or the re-entry if you want. So let's see when that happens. And we've hit our breakpoint obviously. So in actual fact, I think what we want to do here, right, is we want to do the same thing as up here. So but the thing is, we don't want it don't actually want it to for this to be set to start with. So what we'll do is, so what we've got to remember is when it comes in and then it hits the switch view and this is false, then it brings up our widget. Okay? Now, the interesting thing is that we don't want to play this straight away. Right, we want to actually play it in reverse. So what we'll do is we'll say play animation reverse. Right, and we'll break that. We'll move this one temporarily out of the way. So we plug in the target. We've got all our other stuff ready. So we save that and press play. Okay, so let's have a look at that, how that's worked out for us. So we'll come down to our rocket. Which is quite weird because the whole reason for this little camera is so that the player knows the status of the rocket without actually having to have it on screen. There we go. And now we're just waiting for the rocket re-entry. So let's see what happens here. You see it does it a bit quick. So what we want to actually do is we want our delay again, the same as what we do in the launch sequence, right? Well, we don't want a switch or anything, what we want is a delay. Okay, so there's our delay, and if we stick that at, let's say, 3 seconds, and that should now be pretty much how I envisaged it to start with, to be honest. Okay. So we shall carry on with that. Let's have our launch. Looking good. That's good. This is going to break, isn't it? It's going to break into the code. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's see how this looks now. And that's good. That's good. Oh, that's perfect. Right, now, the thing here though is, we don't want that thing to play now. We don't want this to play at all. So what we should do is just basically go from there to there. And then that should be our super losing contact white noise animation. It's not really an animation, but we're doing it on an animation track. Now we can obviously add sound effects to that. But we'll see how this is looking up until now. Now, did I miss that, or did that not look quite as good as I thought it would? I think we still need a delay. Well, let's see if it's doing some weird thing. Right, so that's nice. Right, that lands. Then disappears, that's fine. We got our thing. We launch. Right, so what we need here is a check. We need a check to see is launching. Right, so we say duh. So we stop this for a moment. So we only do this if it's launching. Okay, so we basically need a branch. Okay. And then what we'll actually do is we shall say a not, so that we get the true on the top. Okay. Right, so we shall remove that and we shall plug in that. Okay. We shall bring this over to here. So if it's true, we go to here, and we shall move these over a little bit. We'll tidy this up shortly, but in the meantime we shall go as false in there, save. So now that should do exactly what we want it to do. Let's have a look and see if that's the case or not. So there we go, we've got our launch on screen. We come up, and there we get our, there we go. That's perfect. And now when we return to planet, we start off with white noise as we come into orbit, and we come down and land. Clears up, we see the landing, and there we go. Perfect. That was kind of how I envisioned it. The only thing that I kind of wanted to do differently was like make it expand and have like a little blip, a little blue blip when the screen was closed completely. Now that's weird, right? Because that should still be giving us our force. Well, it doesn't really give us a 4 seconds, does it? So it should go in here. Ah, okay. So this delay shouldn't be for the length of the actual thing. It should be like an extra 3 seconds or something. Right? So there we go. Right, now the next thing we're going to do, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll check it out as we do the other stuff, but we need to go into recipes. Because our recipes might be giving us problems. And the fact that we don't have any, basically. So we've got iron ore, iron sheet, copper sheet, and we're going to add one. Okay. And it's going to be copper wire. Okay. And our image is going to be the copper wire, and the process time is, let's say, 2. Our input is going to be copper sheet, and we're going to need 2, and our output is going to be copper wire, and our output is going to be 1, and we're going to say it's made in a fabricator, right? So that gives us our refiner, smelter, fabricator, right? So the next thing we're going to add is a widget, okay? And our product out image is going to be a widget. Our input is going to be iron sheet, and we're going to need 2 of those, and our output is going to be the widget, and it's going to give us 1 of those, and it's going to be a processing time of 2, and it's going to be made in a fabricator, okay? So now what we do is we basically have all our fundamental things, right, to make all of these different items. Now, the one change I'm going to make here right now, is I am going to change it's building details basically, right? So this one here, right? This is one that gives us our recipe, okay? Now this UGP, that's not that one, it's this one here. This UGP is going to actually get changed into a normal grid, right? So what I can do is I can say wrap this with a grid panel, and then we can call this GP underscore select recipe, okay? So we can save that, and basically what we could do is any reference to this, we want to change it to this, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get our UGP recipe select and find the references, right? And here it's here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to here, get this, right? And then we're going to add child to grid, okay? Now this is going to more or less give us the same things, right? So we can just basically plug and play, right? We can just do that, we can do that, and then we can plug the content right in there, okay? And then what we can do is we can delete that, then we can move this into position, right? So when we're adding to the grid, we're obviously doing it multiple times, but we're calculating our row count and our column count, okay? Now this should actually look better now, or at least I hope so. And this is actually giving us a widget, right? So what we actually need to do here is have a look at this widget, and we're going to need to add a bit of padding round about it, okay? So what we can do is we can say 5. Now that's going to give us a nice, and then actually, you know what we could do here, right? We could in fact wrap this whole thing in a canvas panel and then put this in a border, or we could actually wrap this in a border and then we could set it to like blue. No, that's not really going to work. That's not really going to work unless we actually make the widget like lots of times and then just make it blank. Okay, so we won't worry about, well, if this is creating a widget every time, yeah, we could do that, because it's creating it each time, right? So all we need to actually do is put, right, anyway, let's not overthink this. Let's just carry on with what we're doing here. So we fundamentally, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our FE controller and we're going to default some product into our inventory basically, so that we don't need to make or hope for getting different products to start the game, right? So if I just set this up and by default, right, so if we go in here and then we have a look at our product available, what we can do is we can add our 2 products and make it box out. This just opens up all the buttons for us, okay? This is the only reason I'm doing this. We don't really need to do it, but it's just going to make things a heck of a lot simpler. So we need copper ore, because I've set the product values for those 2 things to build our buildings at the moment. Obviously that's going to change, but for the moment that's going to work. Okay, so you'll notice that when we do that, everything's available again. Okay, so we are fundamentally ready to build. So the interesting one is going to be the fabricator, okay? Because the fabricator is going to have the two products. Okay, so we can create like 5 or 6 of these, and then we can check out what we like and what we don't like. Right, so you see these are nice and close to each other now, which is kind of what we want. But what we could do is actually make it even a bit more than that, right? Now we can make that 10. Okay, and save that. We could even wrap this in a border now and make it blue in the background, which would give us a nice blue. I mean, it really depends how you want to do it, right? But fundamentally, we can do whatever we want. Okay, but we're doing it this way for now. So let's have a look at this and see how this is going. That doesn't seem to be much of a difference, to be fair. But having said that, we need to now remove our UGP, right? So we need to delete that. It doesn't seem to want to let me. Right, we've got to do it in designer, that's why. Duh. So we can just basically delete this and save that. Now I'm not sure if that's going to make a heck of a lot of difference, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in here. Now we have got padding, right? But that's not per slot, I don't think. If you notice, if I type in 10, you know, it's the whole thing. That's not what we want. I don't think that does it either. Can we do it? We can't really do it with the column fill. We won't, let's not worry about it, right? We're not going for final looks. These are mostly placeholders at the moment anyway, so let's not worry about that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a break for 5 minutes. It'll be even less than that, so stick around guys, and I shall be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, we are back and ready to go. So we're going to be happy with that for the moment, right? Um, Now, what we could do here is when they build the building, we could remove that amount from our inventory. Okay? Now, we don't have a way of seeing our inventory at the moment, so we're going to end up with something similar to this, but without the workers. And we're going to have to be able to handcraft stuff as well, right? So, in effect, what we can do is we need two different things here. Now, if you notice, one of the issues I had earlier today when I was checking things over was that the probes don't disappear when all the probes have been launched. Okay? Now, that's one issue. You can see there that there's no way we can actually get rid of the probes. So, let's do that. Okay? So, what we'll do is go into, I believe, FE controller in the event graph. Except it might not be. It might actually be begin play, left click and right click, right? So if when we do our probes, let's see how that goes, right? We don't do that because that's right click, so we want left click, okay? We want to do the left click and the right click. So when we left click, we don't do that. So what we actually do is we go into probe. Okay? Now the probe just updates this. So we need to track down the logic for this particular thing. So it's not in the construction script. We only have begin play and that. So the question has to be, where are we doing this? And I believe it's going to be actually in grid. Is it? We have grid complete, BP grid. Okay, so there we go. So we're only using this code here, so we'll move this up to check what's going on. hover plane. Okay, so these are individual planes. Okay. So when we launch the probes, we're basically coming in here, we click on a plane, then we launch all the probes, and it's a for each, okay? And then basically we destroy self. Destroy self. Oh, it's just destroy actor, isn't it? Okay. So now we can save that, okay? Then we can press play and we can try that again. So now when we launch the rockets, the grid should disappear. Okay. And it doesn't. Or did it? No, it only destroyed one grid part, right? So it's doing for each. So we're getting all actors of class. So basically we need to do the same thing again. So we need to do a for each loop again. Okay. So this goes in here. That goes in there. That goes in there. And the element goes into the destroy actor. Right, so it should now destroy the whole grid when it completes. And this code here, if we copy that, we can save that. And if we go into our FE controller and then check on our right click, and if we are on probe, we paste that. Well, we paste that. Okay, and we do a get all widgets of class. Okay. Then this is going to get a bit bigger, but that's okay. So this is going right down the bottom basically. So we basically do that, and then we should set, you see these are doing it, and then we do this. Okay. So we do that, and then we do this. We set everything, we set our current game state back to normal, so that we're not in probe mode anymore. So that should fix both of those issues with the probe. Okay? And I think I'm going to cut the stream short tonight. Not that many viewers. If you have joined me, thanks for joining me. Much appreciated. Check out the description box for how to support me, or join the Discord, get some help in Unreal Engine, from a bunch of nice people, and I shall hopefully see you tomorrow when I should be attempting to get back to my usual streaming times of 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's GMT plus 6, or Central Time if you say it that way. So I'm going to cut it short there, and everyone have a good night. Bye bye for now.